getting some pictures taken. Hang on a minute. Thank you for coming out on a wild weekend in Los Angeles. Several of us flew in from out of town. I think, did you come in from New York City? Morgan, you live here. Tracy flew in from New York as well, JFK. Peggy lives here, and I flew in from Kansas City. Woohoo! Go Chiefs! Brock, right? Go Chiefs! There we go. Had to throw that out. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're still waiting on one panelist, but if she comes, we'll put her down at the primary seat down there at the end. And thank you for being here to start off with. We have, I think initially we're going to show a PSA from Ukraine.
When your heart is broken, blame's a sad game, and your smile is a token. You can't say her name, and the pain cuts so deep in the space between hero and hell, between hero and hell.
Hello, I'm Nicole Mouge, co-founder of the French Riviera Film Festival. Gotham Chandna and I, along with our festival partners, stand with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. We pray for peace. Stop Vladimir Putin. We stand for Ukraine.
If only this were a movie. But it's not. It's real life. Since this bully was not stopped before he started, let's stop him before he continues. Join any effort you can. In the time we take to consider our actions, precious lives are lost. I stand with Ukraine.
We must help Ukraine with everything it needs the most. And we must support all Ukrainians who are suffering from atrocities of this war. I stand with Ukraine.
Hi everybody, I'm Dee Sorbino, and I'm here at the bar with my husband Paul Sorbino, and we have Ukraine on our mind. And Big Polly has a message.
Hey, Putin, I'm coming after you. I'm gonna break your legs. I'm gonna whack you.
We support Ukraine. Love you, Ukraine. We're with Ukraine.
That's why I'm here today, and I stand for Ukraine. I believe until we find a way to resolve any conflict without war, there is no evolution for humanity.
Hi, I am Paulina Aguirre. Hola, soy Paulina Aguirre, and I want to give this message of peace and love for Ukraine. Y quiero dar este mensaje de amor y de paz para Ucrania. I stand for Ukraine. Estoy por Ucrania.
I'm Perez Hilton. The people of Ukraine need your help. Please join me in condemning Vladimir Putin and the illegal actions that Russia is taking against the people of Ukraine. I stand with Ukraine.
My name is Anna Fishbein, and I stand with Ukraine.
I'm doing with only one purpose, with one more reason. Please allow refugees to go and to unite with their family and friends in the US and Canada.
I'm Bertrand Normand. I stand with Ukraine.
When I'm thinking of you, my love, I feel like anything is possible. When you're back in my arms again, I know that we will be unstoppable. You know that we will be unstoppable.
Well, welcome again, everybody, to the Women's Filmmakers Showcase, presented by Heartland Films, Cultura PR, and Cloud 21. We're here today to celebrate Women's History Month, Oscar weekend, of course, and filmmakers everywhere, especially those creators from Ukraine. I'm Sue Vickery, and I'm the moderator today. I'm the founder and president of Hartman Films, which is a non-for-profit production company that started in 2003. And I had the honor of working with Nicole and Gotham to put together this panel, which was pretty much handpicked. We got a lovely, talented set of women today that we're gonna, first of all, we're gonna show the trailers and the teasers from their work.
Whatever is going on between you two, you need to let it out. Let it all out. Howl at the moon, and then let it go. Because there will never be someone as important as the one standing right next to you. So get off your darn high horses. You know what to do.
I'm sorry. Me too.
That was good. You know, Emma, ever since you were a baby, you knew exactly what you wanted. Now, one day you decided that I was your favorite. Well, I felt so special. I was the only one that could make you stop crying. And then the next day it'd be someone else. But the only one that could always make you laugh, whether they cared about it or not.
Wait, really?
You two are very important to each other. I think it's time you stop being such boneheads about it.
Grandma, what was I like as a baby?
Fussy.
Kate. Fuck what other people have. We have what we have.
I want what other people have.
You are my worst nightmare.
I can't handle one more person who can love me in private, but won't love me in public.
I met my girlfriend. Hi. I met her, and she saw how good I was with a paintbrush.
Our token male.
How did you get so gorgeous?
I'm blessed with good DNA.
How did you get so gorgeous?
Having water, that's it.
Welcome to the 33rd annual Victor's Angels Mr. World Beauty Pageant.
I think if you suck it in a little bit, suck it in and then say walrus.
Walrus.
I want to win.
And you feel that you're gonna win.
Oh, I feel it in my gut.
The gut that is a little too fat.
You know, because I'm not trying to look like District 11.
Come out and live it up. Put things in motion. Come out with your freak flair.
Smacking your ass.
Often, men have trouble keeping up with women intellectually. And
You are a prehistoric cockroach. And if you don't shut that trap...
What are you doing? Illuminate you. Last time when you started this, you know what happened. You're doing it again. You're playing with my emotions.
We know it's against pageant rules to flick or sexually harass men or demand. I'm looking for silence from all of you.
How did you get so gorgeous?
First thing when I wake up in the morning, I do at least 2,000 push-ups.
Holla if you're feeling it. Let
the talent here is just, it's remarkable, to say the least.
You ate
A potato chip?
chip?
I'm so potato chip?
Trying to say is maybe you just probably imagined it.
I couldn't have imagined it.
Maybe it was a pervert or deformed kid or something.
A deformed kid. There's nothing like that, penis breath.
Elliot! Sit down.
Dad would believe me.
Maybe you ought to call your father and tell him about it.
I can't. He's in Mexico with Sally.
All right, wow, you can see there's quite a body of work there from everybody. Quite a bit of diversity too going on. Very impressive. And I'd like to introduce to you our panel today. And even though they all turned in beautiful professional bios, I happen to rewrite all their bios for them. So I am about to introduce everybody, and this will be fun. Start with Anna because she's next to me. Anna is a New York-based filmmaker, correct? Live in New York City. Actor, writer, director, grew up in Chicago, my hometown, thank you. A BA from the University of Chicago. And this is impressive. A PhD from Columbia University, hello, and an MFA. So she's kind of done it all, written and starred in plays that have graced the stages of New York City and London's West End. Wow. She's been deemed a comedic genius. And I can see that after watching your trailer. And she's a novelist. So as you can see, we've got our talent here today is unparalleled. Next is Morgan. I know she can't wait to see what bio I wrote for her. Morgan, born and raised in Kansas City, am I correct? Yay! Yeah. Oh, it gets better. Summa cum laude from USC, School of Cinematic Arts, writer, director, producer, interned with and then worked with J.J. Abrams, hello, out of college, and during the making of Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and appears in the film. Correcto? Yeah. Different Flowers was your first feature-length narrative film, which you wrote, directed with Shelley Long, which had a national release with AMC Theaters. Not bad for your first film. I happen to be in it too, by the way. And she filmed at our farm, so that's cool too. You direct branded content for Nickelodeon, MTV, Fox's Empire, and more, many more. You're newly married in the past year, and her lovely husband is here in the audience today. And I'm proud to say I've known you since high school. She actually was my very first intern back in, 15 years ago or something, quite a long time ago. All right, Tracy, let's go with Tracy. This should be good. Tracy is New York-based writer as well, born and raised, coincidentally, in Kansas City. Well, she was born in Topeka. Look at Dee. She was born in Topeka, raised in Stillwell in Kansas City, and Brock is here from our neighborhood. Raise your hand, Brock, yay. Blue Valley High School. And Tracy is, her work has been, let me go back here a minute. So born and raised in the Midwest, she has an MFA in creative writing, playwright, screenwriting, writing coach. Her work has been produced on stage from coast to coast and into Canada. Studied in, she likes this part, studied in East Germany in college. She did a leadership month in Africa, traveled through Europe. She happens to be my daughter, by the way, so I'll just throw that out there. She's a successful business owner, mother, wife, and educator, and she has been commissioned to write screenplays. As a matter of fact, Dee, I called you a couple of years ago about playing a role in The Latin Rose, and Tracy wrote that, so we still have you slated for that, by the way.
I'm patient.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I love it. All right, and so Tracy is here from New York as well as Anna. Let's talk about Dee. Thank you for being here, by the way. You made it from Pasadena.
Oh, my GPS took me to Pasadena. They can put a man on the moon, but they can't figure out.
Good job, but you made it. You made it, so I'm proud of you. So Dee, coincidentally, was born and raised in Kansas City. Yes! Wyandotte High School.
Yes!
Yeah. As well as Ed Asner went there.
Yes!
Yeah. Oh, KU grad. So how that's cool. Yeah, the Jayhawkers did well last night, right? They won.
Yep.
And then you taught at Washington High School. Was that not a rival of Wyandotte High School? Were they rivals?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was a teacher.
Yeah.
Then.
Sure.
Yes, they
okay.
were rivals. Yeah.
All right. Well, she's been acting since the mid-1970s, both in film and TV. And I think, Dee, I read that you've been in 250 films. Are you
More
kidding?
now.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You're old or iconic. I can't.
You're both, girl. So you've been nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award. You are author of multiple books. We're going to talk about one of them today. The most recent one is called Born, and we're going to visit about that one today. Your inspired message is love yourself. I got that off your website. You've spoken nationally and internationally. You're the mother, of course, as we saw in E.T., which is a big claim to fame, and many horror films. But your nickname, the Scream Queen. So that's awesome.
I wear it proudly.
And what I learned about you that I didn't know, which is awesome, is you're a former ballet soloist.
I am.
So that's super sweet. We could use some of your expertise in the Latin Rose on that, by the way.
Okay.
And you have a radio show.
I do.
So welcome, Dee, please. Welcome our panel. Oh, Peggy. I'm sorry,
no.
Peggy.
I understand.
Peggy, I'm sorry. All right, sorry, dear.
I love it.
So I know you're going to be surprised, but Peggy was born in Kansas.
We are prolific.
We're a creative group here. Born in Kansas, Junction City, correct?
No, Mankato.
Oh, Mankato,
Yeah.
Kansas. Where is that? I've never heard of it.
It's on Highway 36.
Oh, that's right. Town of 700, did you say, or something? 900? Okay. Isn't that great? All right, so Peggy is a behind-the-scenes and red carpet photographer. She's been, for 5 years, she's been podcasting the top professionals from casting directors, working actors, and acting coaches. She's worked as a producer and a DP on film sets. She's a professional photographer for over 3 decades, Peggy.
Wow.
It's incredible.
I think I should say the same thing. Is it like old or just,
Yeah,
iconic?
both.
We're
Let's go with
iconic.
both. And newly married, and her beautiful husband is sitting center there, taking some video of us today, Merrick McCarthy. So welcome to the panel. It's an amazing array of women and expertise, and guess what? We're going to get right into some questioning. So I wanted to let everybody know about 10 minutes towards the end, we're going to do Q&A from the audience. So if you have any questions for any of the ladies up here, please feel free to stand up and go with that. I wrote some brilliant questions that I'm going to start with. Dee sent me some amazing questions that we'll talk about. But Sue wrote one night, late at night, wrote some questions, and we're going to start with that with the panel. And here's one of my favorites, and I'm going to start with Anna and work your way down. Are you ready?
Oh, wow.
So we're going to pass the mic because we have 2 mics that we're going with. The 2 questions that I really would like our audience to hear about is, one of them is, what do you love most about creating original pieces of work that only exist because you gave them life? That's important. And with that, if you'd like to tell us one word that describes yourself, what would it be?
Well, that's really simple. I create in order to breathe, or I breathe in order to create. I don't know any other way to exist. And I don't think I do it for any of the other things that come along, like the accolades, or, I mean, those are all fabulous, and all of that is fabulous, and having a theater and having people watch your work is amazing, and performing on stage is amazing, and all of that is amazing. But I do it on a daily basis because I can't imagine not doing it. And I have a journal that I keep that I open up when ideas come, and whenever I do anything around the house, ideas will come, and when I go somewhere, ideas will come, and if something terrible is happening in my life, ideas will come, and it will literally cure me of whatever ails me, whatever emotional trauma ails me. And I need to say that during this time with what's happening with Ukraine has been so traumatic for me, because I've immigrated to this country from Russia. My father is Ukrainian. We have family and friends there, and my work has saved me. Yes. And going back to, filming, writing, getting back to working is a saving, a thing that saves. One word. One word, yes. One word that describes me: determined.
Love it. Okay.
Excellent. Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. What do I love about creating?
Yeah, what do you love most about creating original pieces of work that only exist
because you gave them life? Well, and I love that phrase, you gave them life, because it does feel like they're living, breathing things. And I think that that's one of the things that I love most about creating, is to share it with other people. Both in the creation of the thing, working with your cast, working with your crew, but then ultimately it belongs to the audience at the end of the day. And for me, I always think about, when I'm writing an idea or throughout the whole process, I think thinking about your why, like, why are you doing this, can be really helpful, because it's hard to make a movie. And for me, I'm always, my why is that I, as a 15-year-old kid, would have loved to have seen this movie, and it might have made a difference to me. So, a lot of the time I'm thinking about, that younger girl and what she would have wanted to see up on screen. And one word, tenacious.
Good one, girl.
That's a great one.
Good afternoon. I would say, what is important is people telling their stories or have access to telling their stories. So the biggest opportunity for me is to tell their stories, and I experience myself more as a mouthpiece of people being able to share who they are and what they care about and what they are dealing with, than it just coming from my brain somewhere, and that I can be the vehicle for people to share themselves. So that's, I think, one of the most important things is working on screenplays and telling other people's stories and telling stories that come to me or people I meet or conversations or art to be had in the world. And I would say the word for me is privileged. I'm privileged as a white woman. I'm privileged as a cisgendered female, and I'm also privileged, lucky. I'm lucky that I deal with mental health. I'm lucky that I get to fly an airplane and be here. I'm lucky that I get to share people's stories and what they deal with. So, privileged is what I would say. Yeah.
Let's trade mics. Oh, turn that one on, Trace. I guess you need yours on.
So when I read this question, I thought, well, the question literally answers itself. The thing I love about creating is being able to make something that was, wouldn't exist without me. I think to go a little deeper would be maybe to create something that can change the world that I live in, to give voice to things and show other sides, other people's points of views, and allow other people to feel empowered. And that brings me to my one word. My one word is an empowerer.
Well, I guess I have a slightly different perspective, being more of an actor than a screenwriter. I do it to find all those sides of me that are truthful in all of you. My greatest job is to be truthful, so that in whatever I'm portraying, like that moment when my son says he's in Mexico with Sally, you literally see what a single mother raising 3 kids, knowing her husband is off with another woman, experiences within her. That's the most important part of my work for me, is to be truthful and to delve into all those emotional places that unfortunately I've had to delve into in my life also, and bring them to life on screen. And I would hope that the word that describes me is love.
Thank you, Dee. And while we're at it, Dee's newest book, Born, she brought autographed copies for the panel. And, being we have more surprises, Morgan brought autographed DVDs of her film, Different Flowers. Oh, great. And by the way, that film was shot entirely in Kansas City. All right, so that's good. Let's talk about what's next creatively. And how about Dee start down at the end there, grab at the mic, and let's talk about what's next creatively for each one of you.
Well, I don't know what's next creatively. I keep waiting. No, I have 3 films that I'm scheduled to do. I have 6 films coming out already, but my passion and my focus right now, a lot of people don't know that I'm a clairaudient channel, and I have had a healing practice all over the world for over 35 years. This is my 6th book that just came out, and it is a complete formula, and it's fun, and it's short, and it's really easy to read, about how to manifest anything in your life. And I'm a I'm a pretty damn good manifester, I gotta say. And I also have written a children's book, which is the first in a series called Bupalopaloo and the I Love Me's, teaching children the concepts of the creation process. Because most people don't know that our brains around how we see ourselves and our self-esteem and how the world sees us, totally locked in by 8 years old. So whatever you learned or were modeled from conception to 8, you create belief systems that you build the rest of your life on. So if you keep finding yourself running into the same walls and the same patterns in your life, I can almost guarantee you that the secret to breaking those is looking back to your childhood and seeing what your messages were.
That's incredible. What's my next project? I have just started working on my first documentary. So it is the Navajo Native American language was always a spoken language only until about 25 years ago, and a group of Navajos sat down and put the language into written. And so I am doing a documentary about how the language is carried on and how they brought it into a written language to make sure that it did not die. So that's my next project.
Great. I have a couple of pieces in the works. I have a draft of Latin Rose, which I've been working on for a number of years, and finally the story has shown up in the last couple of the last year, so I got to finish writing that. And then a story I wrote, it was a children's story, but more of a universal conversation, a book called After the Question that I published a number of years ago. And very recently now has an opportunity to be animated, so we're in the pre-production conversation for that. Yeah.
So many things. I just love that, what you said, Dee, about until you're 8. Because this is a slight tangent, but I just remembered recently I had a kindergarten teacher that my whole life I thought I was going to be a judge. I wanted to be honest and fair, like I thought my dad was. And my dad is, but he's a lawyer. And so I wanted to be just like him. And then when I was 5 years old, my kindergarten teacher asked me what I wanted to be. And I said, I want to be a judge like my father. And she said, well, what do you want to be? Yeah. And that was the first time I ever thought about being creative.
That's a line from Bupalopaloo.
Oh my goodness!
Who do you
want to be?
Yeah.
I love that.
See, we're all from Kansas.
There's a through line. I have a lot of things in the works. I have a feature film that I just was optioned by a production company, so we're getting ready to make that, which is very exciting. It's a high school movie. And then I have a number of other projects in development. So we'll see what one goes next. I can't wait to get back on set.
Hi. I also wanted to say to Dee about the Until You're 8. So incredible and so true, because I was a child in another country and came here and had to unlearn so much of what, as an adult, I've been unlearning what happened to me as a child in a closed world.
And creating your own story. We're all creators of stories.
Yeah.
But so many of us aren't cognizant of creating our own story, of our own life story.
Exactly. And I was going to say that the play that I did in New York, one of my first plays, it was my second play, but it was called My Stubborn Tongue. And it was basically about my childhood in Russia. And what I would do is I would get up on stage and I would talk about this terrible anti-Semitic nurse that abused me. And I would do it every single night. And every night it was like catharsis, and it was the undoing of that abuse, like every night on stage. And people would say to me, do you get tired of talking about this terrible experience that you had? And I said, no, this is like a gift. But it was this unlearning of what I learned at 5 years old you know, as a child, and I think that's really amazing. And I would love to hear more about the healing and everything that you do. But anyhow, my works. I love comedy. I believe comedy is the cure to pain. And one project that I have is a screenplay that I have completed, that I have begun post-production and started talking to people about. Is called How to Seduce Your Dinner Guest. And it is, and it's sexy, and it's funny, and you know, it's got a lot of, you know, it's got a lot of, you know, like Manhattan upper crust comedy of errors where people mistake each other and seduce each other for all the wrong reasons, and end up doing all the wrong things. So, and then the other thing that I have, which is in vein with all my feminist work, it's called the Infidelity Club. And it's a cheating club for women. And basically, the tagline is, stay happily married to your cheating husband while you cheat yourself. So that's not that good of a tagline, but it will get there. It will get there.
What a great diverse group of women we have here today. An eclectic bunch of creators. Now I'm going to have a double question again because I like to group my questions together, apparently. Are you ready, ladies? We're going to pass the mic back down the other direction. Name one mentor that comes to mind, and while you're at it, who are you mentoring? But I'm not done. Why is humanity better because you are here?
Must I have this question? Okay, let's start with mentoring. I mean, I can go into a long road of how this is hard because there are two ways to go on this question. I could talk about the professional aspect of my life, but I can also talk about my mom and my daughter. I mentor my daughter, and my mentor is my mom. And I can't do it any other way because that woman is a heroine, and she brought me, you know, she's basically been my supporter through this creative process. It's a really, really difficult process. And when you're down and when you don't believe in yourself, and when your mom says you can do this and she can be strong for everybody, so I'm blown away by her. So she is my mentor, and my daughter I mentor. So that's just by nature.
Why is humanity better because you were in it?
Why is humanity? Because I've made a lot of people laugh. I've had audiences where people have left some of my shows where people have thanked me for both making them laugh and making them cry, and that has been the reason I do what I do, and it's been the most extraordinary way to connect with people. I'm so happy we're we're live because I remember live, and humanity will be better for it because we can affect people more emotionally, more readily. That's it.
That's wonderful. You know, when you ask about mentor, Sue, you're asking for it because you're my mentor, Sue. When I was 15 years old, growing up in Kansas City, Missouri, there weren't a lot of film opportunities. You know, I was a real nerdy film kid. Full braces. I've had glasses my whole life, and I would make my dad drive me to these Wednesday night Independent Filmmaker Coalition meetings, in which I was the only 13-year-old in that building. And I got involved with this little organization called Women in Film, and Sue was on the board, and they gave me my first ever budget to make a short film when I think I was 15. And you know who handed me that check? Dee.
Did I really?
You did. You were the special guest.
Oh my goodness.
And so you literally handed me an opportunity, and Sue made it possible. And today's a very full circle moment, but it was also very full circle to have you play a part in my feature film, not only supporting me that whole path, you were the first person I told I wanted to do that to. And you said, yeah, do it this summer. And you know what? We did. It was hot. And so I just, I'm just so grateful for you. And, on to who I'm mentoring. I'm a teacher. I teach screenwriting and I teach filmmaking. So I'm constantly, seeing students come through. And one of the most amazing things about that is not just seeing their ideas come from sort of fruition to up on screen, but I've had quite a few international students or even people, who are, had a whole other career and are pivoting that will take an online class and then, they come and get their MFA. And that is so inspiring to me. So it really fills your cup. I think the mentoring, I'm glad you matched these together because I think it's about, giving back, and I would love to be a Sue to someone else, to give them that inspiration. So I only hope I can rise to that bar. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I'm definitely gonna make my mother cry on this one. I would say, I was thinking a lot about who has mentored me, and I would have to say my grandmother. There's even in her passing, even though I was not the granddaughter who called her every week to say, "Grandma, how are you?" She always knew who I was as a writer before I knew. She always knew who I was as a person and who I loved and how I lived my life, and nothing fazed her about who I was. And I'm named after her. So I trust that I got to be the woman I am because of the matriarch of my grandma Annette, and who she was as a businesswoman and what that got passed down into my family, and then who I am. And then the opportunity for me to mentor young women as writers and the stories they want to tell, whether they're in 8th grade or 13 or 15 or whatever. I love working with young women writing their stories. And I would say, what is the question? Why is humanity better because you're here? I hate answering that question. I know. I would say because I'm here to hear people tell their stories and share their stories, and as a space for people to show up and be heard.
Well, I think as far as a mentor that I've had, didn't have a strong family growing up where I had like parents or grandparents to look up to, but I had a teacher in high school, was the first person ever to tell me that I could do what I wanted to do and that I was perfect the way I was. That was literally the first time I'd ever heard that. And then as I've grown, I've just been so fortunate to have amazing people in my life, like Sue, Mike Brueggemeyer, a lot of different filmmakers and photographers that have just opened up and helped me and answered every question I've had and made me ask more questions. And so I've just been really fortunate to be surrounded with a team of amazing people that have kind of led me through that. And as far as who do I mentor, I hope that I am doing the same for the next generation that's coming up, and being able to work and help young filmmakers and young photographers step into and understand how to tell stories and how to capture emotions through the camera. As far as why is the world a better place for me? I believe that the world is a better place because I'm here, because I have a voice and I'm not afraid to use it, and I hope that my voice starts conversations and provokes thoughts and makes a change in this world. Positive change.
Well, we have a theme going here, the Midwest girls, and I would definitely have to say my mom. Here come the tears. She was the strongest woman I've ever met. and incredibly talented. She was an actress in community theater and also produced and directed all the plays in our church. I started out as Jesus and ended up as a Virgin Mary. My father was a severe alcoholic most of my life, and we were very poor, and with nothing, my mother bartered her services to get us acting lessons and musical lessons because she knew they were good for our brains. And my dance classes, she would barter her secretarial skills to my dance teacher so I could get, she was just somebody to live up to, you know. And I remember sitting in church. People from 4 states would come down to watch my mother give these half an hour, what we would call monologues, but they called them readings, dramatic readings back then. And I remember sitting there, and I was about 8 years old, and I looked around, and all these adults were crying. And I went, oh, I want to do this. I want to move people like my mommy does. I can remember the moment, even though I had already been starting to be groomed for it, you know. And I too mentor my daughter, who's a beautiful actress, a best-selling author now. But I taught high school. I've had my own, one of the largest acting studios here in LA for 18 years. Had my own dance studio. And now I have healing clients all over the world that I teach how to be happier and more successful and more fulfilled. So.
And why is humanity better? Because you are here?
Because of my love and integrity. Yeah.
Okay, you get an all-female panel, and this is what you get: tears and emotions and great depth
What can I say?
Heart and wow, you know, significant. All of you, significant. You know, I'm going to open it up to some questions to the audience. So if anyone would like to stand and ask us something prolific, only if it's prolific. Would love to have somebody have the courage to stand up first and ask either the panel as a whole or someone specific. Who'd like to be the brave one?
Oh my God, you guys, you're gonna go.
All right, Brian.
Yay!
Brian, stand up.
So this is for all the women.
Gotcha.
I've always said that women are much, much stronger than men, obviously, and across the board on a lot of things. What keeps you in the game? And how do you inspire all these other people coming up? Because I see a lot of people moving to California. I'm like, why are you moving here? And then they go, I want to do something different. And that gets me going. So
it does.
How did that?
It motivates. And Dee, I'm going to start with you at your end because of the longevity of your
Passion.
career.
That's what keeps me. I don't remember who said it, but I get up every day and I go, okay, what can I create today? If I'm creating something, I'm happy. If I'm creating something, I'm alive. Whether it's writing or coming up with an idea to produce a short film or booking another film to act in, I just want to be creating. And that passion drives me every day of my life.
Can you re-ask that question?
Brian?
Can you re-ask that for me?
No.
Yes, you can.
What keeps you going?
What keeps you going?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's kind of like asking, why do you keep breathing? I don't know how to not do it. I think I think people that are successful in this industry are successful because they literally can't stop. It's what drives them. It's their being able to give to everyone is, and be able to share stories and love and to make a change in this world is literally air. You know, I got my first camera when I was 9 years old, and I never questioned what I was going to do with my life, because it was just that deep.
I would say a promise to other people that I would be who I said that I would be. It's very easy to get distracted as a mom of a 4-year-old running a business that's open 7 days a week. We make the best lattes in Plattsburgh, New York. But I gave a promise when I graduated with my MFA that I promised all those people who I would be for them and what I would create, and I promised my son who I would get to be to show him what's possible. So that's the only thing, is giving my word.
Yeah, I'll echo and say that I literally can't do anything else. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. That's why I keep going. I think the thing that allows me to keep going in this business that is so challenging, that you have so many doors closed in your face, is that there's always the hope of a new day, and there's always the hope of a new project. And you can also find that creative fulfillment in generating your own work. And that's been the thing that's been most fruitful for me, is to find satisfaction and joy and passion in the writing and creating, and not waiting for the phone to ring, and really creating those opportunities for yourself.
I have a story to tell you guys about myself. It's not long, I promise. So I have a PhD, as I hide my PhD among filmmakers. My PhD is in philosophy of literature. And I have an MFA in creative writing, and I had always wanted to be on stage. I'd been on stage as a child in Russia, and then that ended because I was an immigrant and I didn't speak English. And I came to this country and I did all these intellectual things, and my parents were like, you're gonna have a practical career, and you're gonna be a physicist, and you're gonna be a lawyer, whatever. You guys know the story. And I spent a long time not following my passion. And one day I had children, and nobody does this after they have children. And then I had my first child, and I had my second child, and I said, you know what? There's nothing to lose right now. You're just gonna do this. And everybody was saying to me, you just had children, you're overweight, you're too old, you know, what are you doing? And I would go to these parties, and I would meet all these actors, and I would meet directors, and I would say, you know what, I'd like to get on stage. How can I get on stage? I'd like to do a show, and I want to write it, and then I want to star in it. And one day I wrote a little essay called Conversations with My Breasts. I sent it to, and I literally talk about my breasts and with my breasts in this little essay. And I sent it to a little cafe in New York, into an underground performing thing that New Yorkers all wanted to be a part of, all these writers wanted to be in it. It was called Cornelia Street Cafe. And I sent it to this guy, and I called up and I said, did you get my essays? And he goes, yeah. And I said, can I just have a little, like 10 minutes on your stage? And he said, with a title like that, I'm gonna give you your own solo show. And that was the beginning of my career on stage in New York City. And my second play was called Sex in Mommyville. And I have never looked back. And it's the reason why I keep going is because that was not an easy thing to do. It took a lot of guts, it took a lot of courage, and every single time that I want to quit, and I want to quit all the time at every point, and every time I've got a big project and I'm staring at the big set and I was like, I want to quit. And every time I quit, I remember that breastfeeding mother with the breasts leaking and having no experience on stage and having all these people packed in your house, and that took courage. And when you draw on that courage, when you remember that courage, and if I could give that courage to anybody starting out, if I could do that, you can do this.
OD, go for it.
That was fabulous. My conversation would be very short. You know, another word that I use for courage is naivete. I am a very big believer in naivete, because when you're naive, you don't go into a lot of fear. You don't go, oh, what if, or oh, they're going to judge me. Or, so a good example of this is when I first got to LA, an actor couldn't get on the lots, right? Couldn't get past the guards. So I did what we do in Kansas. I baked a lot of chocolate chip cookies. And I put them in big baskets and wrapped them up in cellophane and put big frickin' bows on them. And I drove to the guard gate and I said, hi, I've got deliveries. He said, okay, go on through. So I spent the whole day taking these chocolate chip cookies to different casting directors. And the last one was Reuben Cannon, who was the head of casting. He said, oh, chocolate chip cookies, they're my favorites. Come on in. While I was in there, they called from the set. The girl who was playing the waitress, who had 5 lines, was sick, and that scene was up next. What did he want them to do? He covered the phone and he said, what size do you wear? I said, what size do you need, honey? And that, but my point is you have to keep asking, how can I?
Yeah.
Not what's in my way, but how can I? How can I create something during COVID, right? Instead of, oh, it's COVID, so I've got to shut my life down for 2 years. So my naivete, my Kansas naivete, I'm telling you, everybody would say to me, oh my God, nobody's going to know you. What do you mean you're going to Kansas? You don't know anybody there. You're going to New York. Nobody, you don't know anybody there. Inside I'm going, I'm Dee Wallace and I'm going to go be an actress, right? So off I went, and I'm telling you, when you do that, and you just keep your sights and your joy on what you want, the universe just leads you to where all the little steps. Like I met a guy at an audition. He took me to a Halloween party. And I was like, hi, I just got here from Kansas. You know, talking to everybody, and I'm just having fun like we do in Kansas. Well, at the end of the party, these 3 people came up and said, you know, we'd like you to come by our office. We think we'd like to work with you. Well, they were the biggest commercial agents in New York. Had never occurred to me that I could do commercials, right? So while I was there in New York with this agency, I did over 400 commercials for them. I had $4.25 left to my name. I had called my older brother to see if I could borrow money from him. And I booked a United Airlines commercial. I'm going to show you what I did. I was the friendship girl, and I made $20,000.
Wow.
Do you know my parents never made that in a year in their life? It was miraculous to me, but I was going to be an actress, you know. I
And you did.
So just whatever it is, go do it,
Right,
guys.
right.
Put yourself out there and go do it and
Right.
believe, because it'll work. I promise
It
you
will.
it'll work.
Absolutely. And I think everyone has a different view of Kansas by now. You're listening to all of us. So thank you for that. And if it inspires anybody, I went to film school at 48 after my girls went off to college. And I said, who do I want to be the second half of my life? And within an hour, I was signed up to film school. 20 years later, I'm still doing it. So there's that story. We need to wrap. We've got a cocktail reception that's going to go on a couple blocks away. I'll give you the address here in a second. We are actually presenting an award at that, so you want to make sure you're at that. I do want to tell you, if I can pronounce it properly, Di Fiore, New York, in conjunction with the French Riviera Film Festival, will be donating $30 to the people of Ukraine for each sunflower scarf sold. And our beautiful Italian-made scarves are 100% lightweight, silk twill, and luxurious and sustainable. And I think at the front desk or something, they got more information, but here's cards. You guys, here's the address for the reception. It's walkable, 321 Santa Monica on the 3rd floor. So we're going to reconvene. Yeah, we're going to reconvene there. And as I said, we've got a presentation for an award and some more surprises. Probably more about Kansas, you never know. But you can come and mingle with the panel and ask more questions one-on-one, and there's a lot more to learn. But thank you, ladies.
Thank you.